You find a wallet with $300 in it. What do you find in the wallet that makes you keep the money?
I found a wallet with $2,300 in it, and I tracked the guy down. He was very rude and said, "It all better be here." Counted it out and then didn't say anything else. I wished I had kept the money after seeing the that lost it.
Once I found around $800 in cash near the entrance to a Whole Foods. I turned it in to customer service and they asked me for my phone number and said that if no one had claimed it in 48 hours, they would give it to me. About 2 hours later I got a phone call from a girl nearly in tears thanking me because that was her money for rent. So, I feel like even if you find no context with money or a wallet, there are ways to try to get it back to whoever it belongs to.
Found a wallet outside my work with about $600 in it. Didn't recognize the face as a coworker, so I brought it home and mailed it to the address on it the next day. I've been getting Christmas cards from them every year since then.
The ID of someone who owes me $300.
This was done as a science experiment. The researchers assumed that putting money in the wallet would make people less likely to return it, because the payoff would be bigger. A poll of 279 top-performing academic economists agreed. But researchers saw the opposite. People were more likely to return a wallet when it contained a higher amount of money, Cohn says. At first we almost couldn't believe it and told him to triple the amount of money in the wallet. In countries such as Switzerland, Norway, the Netherlands, Denmark and Sweden, between 70 and 85% of the wallets were returned to their owners. The Swiss are the most honest when it comes to returning wallets containing a key but no money. Danes, Swedes and New Zealanders were even more honest when the wallets contained larger sums. In countries such as China, Peru, Kazakhstan and Kenya, on average only between 8 and 20% of the wallets were returned to their owners. Although the proportion of returned wallets varied widely between countries, in almost all countries wallets with large sums of money or valuable contents were more likely to be.
My cards and ID making me realize it's my wallet that I've dropped.
Found a total of 3 wallets during my time here in NYC. 2 had no cash but ID and credit cards. 3rd had $20 and all the other stuff. Hunted down all 3 and gave them back. All were just happy to get the ID back, which is a to replace. Lost mine after all this and had the same done for me. Karma is not always a lol.
If there is no way of identifying the owner.
My ID card.
A piece of paper with "Keep the $300" written on it. Edit. Whoa, it escalated quickly.
I once found a wallet with approximately $2,000 when I was a teenager. The money was inside a hidden compartment. I handed over it to the police. Turns out some elderly person got his apartment broken into, and the thief stole his wallet but didn't find the $2,000, so threw it out on the curb. Police called me 1 hour after and told me the son wanted to meet me and thank me. He handed me a $50 that I accepted. It might not seem much, but I was really proud of myself, and there's so much gratification in seeing someone really happy.
Found a wallet with just shy of $3,000 in it in Walmart parking lot. Had rubber bands keeping it closed. Recognized the guy, was part of the housekeeping contractors at my job. This was on a Friday after work and housekeeping isn't in on the weekends. I was off that next Monday but went up there to take it to him. He doesn't speak any English but he started crying when I handed it to him. Didn't even count it, just pulled out $200 and gave it to me. I've gotten 2 dozen steaming hot fresh tamales at least twice a month for the last 3 years. The
Jeff Bezos driver's license.
One of those fake bills that are actually little pamphlets with Bible verses on them.
A membership card.
A Sam's Club card. Costco gang represent.
Pictures of child. I take the money, and then take the pics and person's ID to the police.
It's a Confederate flag wallet. A swastika because Nazis.
Offender card.
Membership card for the Neo Party.
Much smaller scale story. I was about 10, I found bill near of our corner store. I ran home and showed my mother and was excited as $5 was a lot of money in 1967. My mother looked at it and said, "A child dropped this." I asked how she knew. She said it was folded over several times into a small square and only children do that. She made me bring it into the store and tell Mike, the proprietor, to hold it until someone claims it. I did so. but was really bummed out, but was hoping nobody would claim it. Next day I went in and asked Mike about the $5 and he said soon after I dropped it off a young girl came in about my age crying that she lost her family's grocery money and her mother furiously sent he back to look for it. I learned a couple lessons that day. 1. Don't be too eager to profit off someone else's misfortune. 2. My mother was really smart.
When I was a kid I was walking home with my friend and we found a $20 in front of a small butcher, deli. We went in and asked the cashier if they knew if anyone dropped it. They said no and to keep it, so we got halfway down the block we heard a woman scream, "Wait," and turned to see her literally sprinting towards us. She asked us if we were the ones who found her $20 and when we said yes and handed it to her she broke down crying and hugged us. She needed that money to feed her own kids and was devastated when she thought she lost it. Even small amounts of money can make a huge difference to some people.
This is such a cute story. I love it.
I found a wallet with about $350 and a Florida ID. I live in NYC. The person looked like they could be about student age, so I wasn't sure mailing the wallet to Florida was gonna be the fastest way to help them. Luckily they also had a Wells Fargo debit card, so I went to a Wells Fargo and they were able to contact the guy. Glad it all worked out.
They come to see you an hour later. Dude, I was coming to pay you back but lost my wallet.
Was gonna say, nothing, because my self-interest dictates that I don't need the bad karma. But you found the loophole I'm comfortable with. Smiley face.
Makes sense. For a lot of people, taking 20 quid is something they can live with, while depriving someone of far more would start to make them feel more guilty.
Makes me think, too, of a story I read about a guy who studied sleight of hand magic tricks as a cover for learning to time actually pickpocketing. He pulled a wallet with like $500 cash from a guy on the bus. And then wondered why somebody riding a city bus would have that much, and concluded that it was probably rent or something else important. This would have been back when debit cards were starting to be more popular. Gave the man his wallet back, claiming it had been on the floor, and never tried that again.
Wife's family is from Peru. When we went there for vacation I had to adjust what I considered living in poverty. I was told that they couldn't keep ducks in the parks because people would catch them to eat. I would guess they are the 8% country, and the keeping of the money has less to do with honesty and more to do with survival. It's easy to be honest when you aren't hungry.
Saying if the owner was some horrible human I couldn't take the I live. It's quite common to give the wallet to a cop and they will find the owner. I once lost my wallet and the police was near to they dropped by my workplace to return it. In other countries, I guess a FB post in a neighborhood group.
I lost my wallet at a Subway after work and the employee recognized my ID and knew my schedule and held it for me, so I went in that afternoon for Dunkin' and swung over to the Subway and asked the manager working if they had it, but she said they didn't have anything. But when I went that night to grab food the other employee had showed up with it since she took it home planning to give it to me tomorrow. I had already gone through the stages of grief and accepted it was lost, so I was very surprised to get it back.
I actually did find a wallet once with about $50 in it and nothing else, which was weird. I felt bad because I assume it probably belonged to a kid who didn't carry ID yet, was probably a lot of money to him.
A few years ago I was downtown in my city and found about $700 in cash blowing in the wind. Also right next to the money was a deposit slip from the local bank that was about a block away. There was no information in the slip, but trying to be a good Samaritan I went to the bank and asked the teller if they happened to know if someone had recently taken out a few $100s. They thought they knew who it was and called the person. The person they called initially said of course they had the money and that it was in their jacket pocket, but after the teller asked him to check, they found it was missing. This was an older man with a fixed income and it was to pay rent. When I found the money I initially was tempted to keep it. I had been out of work for a month and also was in a tight financial spot. But I'm glad that it ended up going back to the original person. Sometimes I wonder if karma is real, because a week later I landed a job offer making considerably more than I was making at my previous employer.
Weird that someone would write that. Also weird that it looks exactly like my handwriting.
Cool to hear something like that stuck with you for so long. Assuming you are no longer a teenager by the way you phrased it, lol.
You are a good egg. Lord knows that could have been his rent money or to buy himself a car or such an important thing for that amount of money.
$3K for fresh home-made tamales twice a month for 3 years? Sign me up. I delivered a DoorDash once and thought they left me an extra tip in cash, only to find out it was one of those Bible verse.
There's a small village in the English Midlands called Kinver that once for a brief period had a taxi company called Kinver Cabs and Carriers, which was odd for middle-class suburbia, especially in England.